You're listening to Three Kitchens Podcast, hosted by your favorite home cooks, Erin Walker and Heather Dyer. Join us for inspiration and a new recipe every Tuesday.
Hello and welcome to Three Kitchens. We're your hosts, Heather and Erin. Hello, Erin.
Hello, good morning.
And we're back with another recipe. It's just the two of us this week.
That's right.
And we're going to make something. Well, I'm going to make something.
I'm going to eat something.
I won't say cook because it's not a cooking thing. But anyway, we'll get to that. We'll get to it. Hey, you know what's coming up? The vintage market, I think, is coming back again.
Yeah. See, I've missed two. I will. Third time's going to be the charm. I promise.
We need to get on that. I think I saw something about it.
Okay. Yes. Going to come up with a budget.
Maybe we'll find some pretty photo props or
right.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Just more stuff that I need in my kitchen to store and use occasionally.
Rarely.
Like I like having a weird variety of things and just kind of using what's available. Like I don't need all my plates to match. I don't know. I'm not the person who has like fine china that's away in a cabinet. Like if I had fine china, I would use it every day because what's the point of having the stuff if you don't use it? In fact, I think a lot of people are donating the fine china that they come into from their parents as that generation is passing away because nobody has a use or the ability to store an entire extra set of dishes. Mm-hmm. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, I have.
I listened to something recently on it.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I can't remember what it was. I would not want a china cabinet, honestly. It wouldn't go with the aesthetic of my house, and I don't have a place to put it. Like
I was going to say, that would be kind of a hard thing to work in. I'm still working on that wall thing that's in my kitchen. My husband is we've decided we're going to flip it and make it a sideboard under the window.
Yes, that'll be cool.
Yeah, I brought it up at the right time.
When he felt like he could do some work.
I've been calculating this. Well, just so that he's in the right mood.
Yes.
Because he recently hit his head on it. Goddamn cabinet. You know what we should do? Here's my opening.
Yes. I can't wait to see what you do.
My house is functional if it's not fancy. Let's put it that way. So you said you're not cooking.
Well, let's see here.
Tell me what this is about.
I want to make vanilla extract because it's one of those things that you always hear about. It's like so easy, and vanilla can be quite expensive to buy. Yeah. And I'm not a person who measures vanilla when I put it in things. I'm like I just free pour, pretty much the same way I mix my drinks. I just like pour it on in there, and so it can get expensive. And
yes. Do you buy real vanilla?
Well, I usually just buy extract, the artificial.
I usually buy the artificial.
The artificial stuff because it can be so expensive. But the real stuff does taste better.
Oh, definitely. But my kids are also free pourers when it comes to cooking. And because vanilla smells so good, every time they make something, they're like, woo! I'm making extra vanilla pancakes. And they're like, glug, glug, glug. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I think we finally got to the point where we realized there's such thing as too much vanilla in our house, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, when I say I just kind of freely pour it, I'm not going crazy with it. But
no, I feel like you have more control than my children. I trust that.
Yeah, I think I do, probably. So this looks pretty darn easy. And the reason I said I'm not really cooking is you put vanilla beans in vodka and you leave it for like 2 months.
Oh.
That's it. And then you can, as you use it, you can just add a bit more vodka. Keep adding more vodka in and you can keep those same beans, that same bottle of vanilla going for like a year before so. I don't know. Probably have to see how it goes. Might depend on your vanilla beans. But you can supposedly keep it going for quite a long time without replacing the beans.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So, I mean, it seems so easy. It's like 3 vanilla beans to a cup of vodka.
Where do you source vanilla beans from? Because I don't think I've ever...
Good question. I have bought them before at the Bulk Barn. I have bought them, I think, at Silk Road Spices.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm thinking because I need to maybe get more. I'll have to see where I could get a good price for a decent number of them. I'll have to shop around a little bit.
I'm also expecting this to show up in your speakeasy 2 months from now because I expect vanilla flavored vodka to be some sort of new magical thing that you introduced to us.
Really? I don't know about that because I think by the time it sits for a long time, it's not vodka anymore, right? So,
right.
But that doesn't mean I couldn't make vanilla flavored vodka somehow.
Right.
I don't know. Okay, I was going to tell you there's another method that I came across.
Okay.
That uses everybody's favorite appliance, the Instant Pot. You can make your vanilla in minutes instead of months. And I thought maybe I will try it both ways and we can compare and see.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because, okay, so you're putting your vanilla bean in a mason jar, adding your vodka into it.
Okay.
Leaving a bit of headspace. You top it with your lid. And then you put a cup of water in the pressure cooker. And then you put your mason jar on your trivet and then cook at high pressure for 30 minutes. Then you let it release, let it cool overnight, and that's it. So 30 minutes in the Instant Pot or 2 months just sitting in your pantry in a jar of vodka.
Oh, I can't wait to compare these two.
Yeah, I might try it both ways and then we'll see what we like.
Yeah, no kidding. Ooh, this sounds like fun. I've always wondered about making like coconut extract or lemon extract. I mean, those are things that feel like we should maybe be able to reasonably do.
Oh, I think it's the same, kind of the same process. Yeah,
Ooh.
I imagine. I think I'm just going to stick with vanilla this first attempt and see. I also have never used coconut extract for anything. Have you?
Oh, for some reason I have. It's in my cupboard. I must have used it for something.
I've used lemon and almond.
Yep.
I like those a lot. I wonder how easy it is to make almond extract. You'd think because that's an intense flavor. How do you get that out of almonds? You know what I mean?
Did you listen to Samin's episode of the podcast?
That most recent?
Yeah.
No, I forgot about it.
I forgot about it too until just recently. But they were talking about, so in a stone fruit, it has like the really hard, bumpy exterior pit. And then you open it up and there's like a seed inside. You can use that. It's like almond flavored. Have you ever noticed, have you ever opened it up and smelled it? I've always thought it smelled almond-like, and apparently it's like an ingredient you can use to cook with.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't know
So
that.
when you get around to listening to that, remind me all the details because I've forgotten now. But I remember her talking about this, and possibly it's like her favorite ice cream has that flavor or something. It's like a strange ingredient. So now I'm like, oh, I want to get those out of the stone fruits when we get them in season again this summer, because I've always opened that up and wondered, like inside nectarines and peaches, like what is that little seed and does it do anything?
If I've ever, I have seen it, so it must have been by accident though. You know, sometimes they're split.
Yeah.
But I've never opened one on
No,
purpose.
I've never opened one on purpose. It's just been when it opens and I'm like, oh, there's something else inside. It's like a little Russian doll.
Yeah. Oh, it's the fruit that keeps on giving.
And apparently you can eat it and use it. But I have taken it out and cut it and smelt it, and I thought it smelled almondy, and I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Well, now,
new
of
things
course,
to try.
I have to listen to that, and I have to look up almond extract and see what's involved.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
I'm curious. Oh, it's so good.
Have you ever made whipped cream with it?
No.
She had it as a recommendation in her making your whipped cream. You can use almond X. So good.
Oh,
so
yum.
so good.
Is it good with whipped coconut cream?
I assume it would be. I haven't tried it.
Well, maybe once I have the vanilla, maybe I will also, I'm not sure yet, maybe because that's 2 months down the road. Maybe I'll bake something with it. I don't know. I'll have to figure out if I use it or if we just taste it from our little bottles.
I feel like you have to use it in some way because vanilla extract, as my children have learned, smells amazing, tastes like butt.
Yes.
They're like, why does this taste so
too
awful?
it's too raw, a sort of
It needs to be cooked and put in something. So yeah.
Plus, it's sitting in alcohol, so it's got that kind of like bitter thing
Yeah.
going on. Okay, well, maybe I'll have to think of something that's really vanilla forward, that you can really taste the vanilla in the thing.
This sounds good. I like this.
All right, I'll see you later.
All right.
I almost forgot we have a little lesson from my son.
He knows all about vanilla.
He often starts conversations by saying, "Hey, Mom, did you know?" And then I have to stop whatever I'm doing and I turn and I listen because I know he's going to educate me on something. And he starts talking about vanilla. And I was like, wait a second, hang on. Where's my phone? Let me record you talking.
Vanilla beans are actually vanilla fruit. They're not actually beans. And they come from orchids, which are really hard to grow unless you're in the right climate. So they were originally found in Mexico, and then the conquistadors brought them to Europe. And they tried to grow it in Europe, but it was too difficult. So they sent it to Madagascar to try and grow it there, except because the ecosystem was different, they didn't have the right pollinators, so they had to pollinate it by hand, which costed money to pay workers, which made vanilla really expensive, and that's why vanilla is quite expensive now at around $700 per kilogram. Vanilla extract is mainly just vanillin, which is a chemical made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and that is kind of a big part of vanilla. Like, there are different parts of vanilla in like the actual vanilla fruit, but vanillin is a big part of it, and people in labs have actually produced vanillin artificially so that they can make a cheap vanilla substitute. And a lot of people say that they can't really tell the difference between natural and artificial vanilla, which is pretty cool. The artificial one is like less than $1 for more than what you get for around $10 of natural vanilla extract. So it's much cheaper to get the substitute, but if you want the natural one, it's like 10 times the price to get the same amount. So
Crazy, right?
that's pretty cool.
What scientists can do in labs. Where did you hear this again?
I heard it on a YouTube video from Food Theory. It's a good YouTube channel that kind of goes into like the science of different things related to food. If you want to go watch it, it's just on YouTube. It's pretty cool.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Okay.
Going for breakfast now. Let's get down to business. Okay.
Let's talk about this vanilla.
Vanilla. Okay, so it's been quite some time.
This has been on the books for a while.
Vanilla takes some time. So I started this vanilla in January, mid-January. It is now April. So it's the long game, but I think it might be worth it. I'm thinking it might be. Okay, so I think I explained in the first half, if I remember.
I assume so. It's been a few months.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's back there in my brain, but you're essentially taking, say, 3 vanilla beans, cut them in half and kind of slice them open so you're exposing that inside. I've heard that it's called the caviar, the inside of the vanilla, that kind of
Ooh, there's like a paste
soft,
almost in
pasty
there.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to expose that, but you don't have to scoop it out. You just kind of slice it open. Put those beans in a jar. I just used what size are those little jars?
Oh, geez.
Like a jam, not the smallest jam jar, but anyway, I put essentially like a cup of vodka, and it didn't quite go to the top of the jar. So use what you got. Like, add a cup of vodka to it, put the lid on, and put it in your pantry and basically leave it there. I put a little sticky on top with the date so that I would remember when I started it, because you're looking for approximately 10 to 12 weeks. Kind of depends. I don't know what it depends on. Maybe how fresh those beans were, or not sure. But every so often, like once a week or so, because it was right, I just set them in my pantry. So when I'd open the door, I'd always see them.
Yeah.
And about every week or so, I would give it a little shake, kind of swirl around. And over time, you see the color change from clear to brown, like vanilla. It didn't ever get as dark as, I would say, the stuff that you get at the store. It's not that like almost black, deep, dark, but it definitely, and if you give it a little sniff every so often, in the beginning, of course, it just smells like vodka. And the longer you go, it smells like vanilla. It's like, ooh, that's how I knew. I was like, okay, the color is getting darker and it doesn't smell like pure alcohol anymore. We're getting somewhere. I think it turned out quite well. And then as you use some of it, just top it up with a little more vodka and kind of keep it going. Supposedly you can keep it going. I'm not sure how long those beans would keep infusing their flavor. I imagine at some point it's not going to more faint over time, but I'm not sure.
I'm interested to see how long it's going to take for it to, I've been using mine quite a bit. I've already topped it up once.
Yeah, me too. I think I used about 2 or 3 tablespoons maybe, and then I topped it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of fun. And I also made a separate little jar in the Instant Pot, but I'm not going to say I'm recommending this method.
I was going to say, you talked about 2 different ways to make vanilla, and then you delivered one type of vanilla, and I was like, this gives me a hint as to where this episode might be going.
Well, I'm not going to say don't do it. It's fast. So because you're using the pressure cooker, you're doing the same thing. You're cutting your beans and slicing them open, putting them in a jar, topping it with vodka, put the lid on, and then put it in your Instant Pot on a trivet with water in the bottom of the pot, as you do. Seal it up and set it on the pressure cooker for like 50 minutes. It's quite a long, in pressure cooker time, that's quite a long time to have it in there, and then let it slowly release itself for like 20 minutes. And then be careful when you take it out. It's very hot, obviously. Let it cool. When you look at the difference, I sent you a picture of the two.
Yes.
The Instant Pot one is very murky looking, cloudy. It smells just as good. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just really like the idea of being able to top it up and keep it going. And I don't think you'd be doing that with this one because it's processed a different way.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
And with the price of vanilla, maybe you'd like to keep your bottle of vanilla going longer.
Yeah. I feel like topping it up with vodka is a more cost-effective way. And the fact that you're getting real vanilla, not the artificial stuff. Heather made some scones with this.
Oh, yeah.
And my younger son and I sat down to eat scones and listened to this wonderful little educational bit that you heard in the intermission.
So thank you, 11-year-old teacher. So good. All right. So like you said, I made little mini vanilla bean scones with this vanilla because I couldn't quite figure out how best to showcase the vanilla in a recipe. Because you can't just take a sip of vanilla and see how good it is.
That's a toughie.
That would be really gross.
I know my children, when they were baking with me younger, and they were like, oh, this smells amazing. And I like put a little bit on a teaspoon and they're like, why does it taste like this when it smells so good?
It is a funny thing, isn't it?
It's so weird.
Yeah. That disconnect.
Yeah.
My brain is like, no, it's not supposed to taste that bad.
It's funny things you do to your kids when they don't know what to expect, just so you get the reaction.
Okay, so I decided to make sort of a basic vanilla scone because I was hoping you could taste the vanilla in it. And then it has a vanilla glaze on top. And then what did I sprinkle it with? Like sugar, lavender, lemon zest. I kind of mixed together. I had some leftover.
You made some sort of delicious, sparkly, sugary sprinkle on top that looked so fancy.
That was like an ad lib. So I'm like, with the recipe, I'm like, just mix some sugar and some stuff, whatever you got. I'm the worst. That's why I will never write a cookbook. But I think you get the idea. You can sprinkle something or don't sprinkle anything. It would be just as good. Okay, so for these mini scones, you've got 2 cups of flour, a third a cup of white sugar. I could give you the grams as well. I think I put the grams in the recipe.
Okay, yeah.
1.5 teaspoons baking powder, half a teaspoon of sea salt, and a stick, as they say, of butter. Every time I read that, I'm like, how much is a stick of butter? Who buys butter in sticks? I don't even know. It's 114 grams of butter. And you can either cut it in cubes or do Erin's trick of keeping it in the freezer and then grating it.
Grating it is the magic of all magic, in my personal opinion.
It's just so easy. Like, it's just ridiculously easy.
And I think it makes things flakier because it keeps that butter colder. Whereas when it's already warm and you start massaging it with your fingers, it's almost like
mushy. Yeah.
You break that magicness that the cold hitting the hot does when you put it in the oven. Yeah, this is all technical.
Yes,
very
technical. Magicness.
The magicness.
It's very technical. Okay, and then you've also got 2/3 of a cup of whipping cream and then 2 teaspoons of that vanilla that you just made. Once it's held together fairly well, put it out on the counter and work it a little bit with your hands to make a ball. And then divide it into like 3 portions, make little discs. And then when you have a little disc, you can then just cut it, use that pastry, your pastry cutter or a knife or whatever you've got.
Yes.
And cut it into triangles. So you've got 6 little scones that come out of each of those 3 little discs. Does that make sense? Okay.
I get you.
They don't have to be perfect. Some of mine were littler than some other ones.
I like that method. I've never done that before. So.
And then you separate them, but they don't need a whole lot of space. They rise. Okay. But they don't really spread out.
Oh, okay.
And so put them on your cookie sheet, bake them for about 15 minutes. You want the bottom to be slightly golden brown and the tops are no longer doughy, but you don't want the tops to brown.
Okay.
You want them to stay nice and white for your little vanilla scone. Then for glaze, well, you want them to cool completely before you glaze them, for one thing. So when you come out of the oven, put them on your baking rack, let them cool completely. And they're really good just on their own, or if you want to eat them with jam, or put some butter on it, or I don't know, however you like to eat a scone, dip it in your tea. I don't know. It's
all the above.
Yeah, they're good just on their own. But if you want to put the glaze on, got 2 cups of powdered sugar and 5 to 6 tablespoons of milk, and scrape the inside of a vanilla bean if you got it. So I had a couple leftover vanilla beans, and so that's why I did this. But you could, that's why there's that little speckle in the glaze. It looks like vanilla.
Okay, yeah.
And it's a bit more of an intense vanilla flavor that way. Mm-hmm. But you could probably also just use your vanilla extract if you don't have extra beans, or if you didn't make your own vanilla and you still want to make scones with your store-bought vanilla.
Yeah.
Just maybe use less milk because you're adding more liquid, and just kind of feel that out a little bit. And then just dip those scones. It's messy, but just dip them in there and if you're doing your sprinkle sugar, lemon zest, lavender, whatever you want to put on the top, do that while it's still wet so it sticks. And then leave them to dry so that the tops, that glaze is nice and dry, because then you can stack them together or handle them, or you don't want them stuck to each other.
Right, yeah.
You want it to kind of harden, and that's maybe like 30 minutes. And then they're good to gobble up.
And then you just eat them.
You sure do. I sure did.
Boy. They didn't last long.
I agree. In fact, next time I would double the recipe and just make a whole bunch more, because everybody loved them.
They were really tasty.
Cute, and you can eat like 3 and not feel like you had a giant scone.
It feels like, I've just had a few little scones.
Yeah. Maybe do like a high tea or something and put them on your your spread.
These were fantastic. My kids were like, how many of these am I allowed to eat?
There were fights at my house. Well, I only had 2. How many did you eat? Like this whole trying to even it out.
Was that your husband?
No, that was the kids, but they were mad at him. Dad, how many did you eat? And he's like,
Dad ate it all.
He's like, his thing is always, but I'm like 4 times your size. So.
This is right. This is what my husband says too. So good. And I love that recipe. It's a good scone recipe. It's so nice and puffy. I really enjoyed that. I did elbow my way in to get a few scones myself when they opened up.
I hope you did.
You know,
It's for
every
work.
once in a while you make that mistake where you open the food in front of the children and then they're like, I have to have this too.
And you're like, wait, I have to at least taste it.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
stashed a couple away and I had them with tea in the afternoon. So I did my own little by myself high tea.
Nice.
And I've been using that vanilla in everything that I have made. I did a whole bunch of stuff. I used it in the icing when I made my little eggs
Oh,
in
those
the grass.
cookies? Oh,
And
those
the
are so
cookies,
cute.
which was super cute. I made waffles with it. I've made some French toast with it. It's going in everything. It is
Nice.
really tasty.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely worth that waiting period. And now I think, well, we'll see how long you can keep topping it up.
Yeah. I don't know how, I guess you just notice if it seems more faint over time and then go get some beans and start a new jar and get it going again.
Yeah, get ahead of it. Because every time I've topped it up, I kind of wait a couple days and give it a good shake, and then I smell it, and it still smells vanilla-y. So
Yeah. Like if you waited too long and then like say used half of it and then topped it up, you'd have to wait a lot longer for that vodka to kind of get
yeah, I think it would
used.
take some time. But yeah, no, that's very cool to be able to make your own extract at home.
Yeah, and you don't have to do anything special to store it or anything.
I really love the little bottle that you've got.
I know they're really
Because
cute.
every time I open it, it goes like, whoop, and
It's got
opens
that
up
little
with that great little seal.
Stopper.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are just from the dollar store.
Oh, we'll get some dollar store bottles because
Yeah, it's cute and it stays nice and sealed.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say this was a success. I will use the vanilla that I made in the Instant Pot and I'll report back in the future and tell you if I've noticed any difference. I think it looks different and you can't top it up the same way. And I've seen lots of other, I've seen blogs and stuff where people make all kinds of extracts this way.
And it's always with vodka then?
I think so.
That's the
Because
primary.
it's essentially flavorless.
Okay, right.
That's why. You're not really imparting the flavor of the alcohol, the spirit. So make sure it's plain Jane vodka. Don't get, you can get all kinds of flavored vodkas. Don't buy the grapefruit vodka and then try to make vanilla out of it. Or whatever.
That might not work so good.
No.
Very cool. I had some family that traveled down to Mexico and they wanted to bring back vanilla, but they couldn't because they were traveling carry-on only and the liquid size was too big. But if you're down there and you can get vanilla bean while you're down there, you can bring that back. You don't have to worry about the liquid content, and then you could make your own extract at home.
So if the beans get too expensive, we may have to resort to just that stuff, which I mean, whatever. I've bought that many, many times because it's so much cheaper.
Even that's expensive too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Not sure why. Just because it can be.
Lab fees, all those overpaid scientists.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Well, there you go. You know how to make vanilla. You've got a great scone recipe. This is a good basic scone if you want to add other things to it. If you don't want it just vanilla, you could put fruit in there.
Chop up some white chocolate, pop it in there.
Yum.
Even sweeter scones. Thank you so much for making this for us and taking all of that time.
All of that time. It's such hard work.
I know. And I think you need the recognition for it.
Thank you so much. I want everyone to know how difficult it was. It's my kind of recipe, actually.
Yeah, no kidding. Set it and forget it.
Exactly. Set it and forget it. Literally. And now for the fine print. Join us over on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest, and on our website at threekitchenspodcast.com. And remember, when you like, follow, subscribe, and review, it helps more people find us. Thank you so much for listening.
I will probably do some intense cut and paste here.
Yeah, do that.
I think so.